Yeah. Um, so that is my institute. I think as some of you would have seen it, and it is Institute of Brackishwater Aquaculture in India, aquaculture, and this is a topic. Anyway, it is a broad topic, and this is what I think our chair also was touching upon. That in the time to come, in the next years to come, these are the three: food, water, and environment is going to be the important mind as to address, because this population, you can see that it is by 2050 days it is going to be 1.69 billion, and we also already we are 1.3 billion. So these how to meet the requirements, especially primary speaking, it is food and water is very important, the food, and that food security and nutritional security. So this thought is not only in India, I think throughout the world, this is a very important. And what is this? Generally, we look at agriculture. You can see that traditional agriculture, land-based agriculture, the growth is in a kind of a puzzle, because there is no, you cannot increase the area of agriculture. Then the productivity also, it is difficult to increase, because nowadays people are more concerned about pesticide and fertilizer. So the last many years the productivity is almost less than 3%. So these conventional areas have been limited, and we have, and you can see that a country like India, the lots of land area which is not conducive for agriculture. So in that case, and then automatically we think about this the next large sector, the aquatic system and the fishes, and we all remember that now fisheries, that means aquatic system is only one area that we people go and exploit, like the whole tradition of hunting, you can say. People can go to sea, catch the fish and come back, but even if you go to the forest, to enter the forest, all rights are there. So this is the one traditional activity continuing. But how long? Because man and fish is so, you can say that we have been so related, because he could go to the native system and catch a fish, and we could able to survive. And this is the this setup we talk about now, about blue economy and blue growth. But you can see the components of the blue economy, or whatever we call about the blue growth, and this ocean dynamic resources and its role in the growth trajectory. It depends on many factors. For example, the moment you go to the ocean and the other resources, the technology come into back, whether you have got that a capacity to go and say, for example, when we were in the 80s, we used to hear about exploiting the mineral resources from the sea, but where we stand. So, but you see, the fisheries and aquaculture talks that, because already we know that we can able to exploit. Only thing is that it has to be enriched with technologies and science, so it can be sustainable. And then in between, what you're seeing is also nowadays it has been connected. Tourism, shipping, biotechnologies, maritime security, mine, all these things are interconnected. But let us see that fisheries and aquaculture, and then in ecosystem, because it's very important that when even if we talk about these ecosystem aquaculture pond, it starts from the sea, then backwater, and is controlled with all kind of abiotic factors, sun, rain, and tidal things and all that. So you can see that it's a kind of a piece of ecosystem where we are conducting the aquaculture. So when you talk about that, it is very important how you are going to balance it, and how we are going to balance this growth. And this is just a slide. You can see that it is being talked about, and now it's convinced that it's a sunrise sector. Sunrise sector means, you see that last 5 years is continuously growing, and all components of the this sector is showing growth, and it is also the contribution to GDP, especially agriculture GDP. You can see in the slide. And but here, the one most important content, that is the marine catch, that is being, you can see that it is been stagnated, I think, for the last 1 decade. And you see the per capita fish consumption, national level, it is only 5 to 6 kg. But in Kerala, so when we talk about our aquatic biology, Fisheries University, University of Kerala, that Kerala is should be the backdrop, isn't it? So, but Kerala is, we are very 20 kg even now. because I think the next 5-year target is in national level, it's only 12 kilogram per, So this is shows that this sector need to be grown. But how? You see, this what I just mentioned, that satiation of the wild fisheries, capture fish has been satiated for so many years. And the gray chart, you see that aquaculture is on the way, it is growing continuously. Now, I think if you talk about the whole world production, it is almost, you can say it is a 50%, 50 million tons has come to aquaculture. So that shows that it's not just a national scenario, internationally this is the scene. And then you have to meet this increasing demand also, because now the per capita income is growing, and then the concern about the seafood, especially in developed countries, is growing. So this consumption and the need will increase. But how we are going to it is also relevant to a state like Kerala. Unless we understand the need and position about this, we may not be able to meet this. This is a very very important factor. And then why aquaculture? I think this all of us knows that, and you can see that it was 46.4. Now it has touched 50 million tons. So this is the fact, and there is no ambiguity in that. Aquaculture, farming, in aqua farming, in water farming, it is becoming the next domain we need to address. And there comes all the, if you can talk about the scenario will be same in most of the components of this aquaculture, whether it is freshwater, brackish, or marine, or in cold water. And you see that one advantage you can see, this is the traditional production. You see the fisheries, poultry, animal husbandry. So what you just see that those indicators of protein retention, you can see the difference between the other three. Fisheries much, it is very high protein, 31%. Then energy retention 23%. When the other things are far behind, maybe half. And feed conversion ratio is almost 1.1 or 1.2, less than 1 to 1.5. But you see that the traditional thing is that shows that those sector is giving so much of pressure, or maybe energy requirement, and then all other indicators, even the pollution, sustainability, that is going to be a question. And edible meat, 100 kg, you are getting almost 61 per 100. So this is the that is why in the initially itself we said it's a sunrise sector. And another important thing, you see, the fisheries provide all these, industrial, food security, employment, prosperity. I mean, prosperity indicate the profit and livelihood support, woman empowerment, and then export, because nowadays the export revenue for a developing country is very important. So this is one sector which can contribute to the whole function of the society and a population. So this is very important. And then when you talk about the resource, whether we have the right resource to do the aquaculture. So the slide is there in even brackish water, because brackish water sector is one of the dynamic economic engine of Indian aquaculture. There you see 1.2 million hectares. Now recently almost 8 million hectares have been inland saline area. In states like Haryana, Rajasthan, and Punjab, they started aquaculture, I mean saline aquaculture. And this slide, you just see that Kerala, we have 65,000 hectares. Long back, it's in 2014 figure. It is stagnated. Even now, just even 15,000 is not there, and then 23% they say. But the production is up. This will be low. Something like, then if you take many, it is insignificant. We don't even, figure in the real exporting. So, but in states like Andhra, Gujarat, etc., going ahead. So this shows that there is so much of development scope. And this is one slide about Brackishwater Aquaculture. See, this is one resource, unlimited resource available, and it doesn't compete with other resources. For example, freshwater, you need freshwater is used for agriculture, drinking, construction. But here, if the brackish water doesn't use for this farming, it is becoming a zero resource, food and water. So this is most important. And again, the richness of biodiversity. So this is one sector which can really drive this growth ahead. And then the Indian brackish water sector, you can see that across this India, on the coastal belt and even in the Indian saline. We can have this brackish water, we can take it forward. And again, the tropical climate, the species diversity, and even the human labor availability, almost the shrimp production alone is reached around 0.7 million, 7 lakh tons. And then that shows that one species alone, one sector alone is driving. You can see that 35, almost 7 billion. In that, almost 6 billion is by only a single species of aquaculture. That is, you can say it is a very interestingly, it is an exotic shrimp. Why I am bringing it is one species when it is been scientifically done, selective bred and then introduced also, it can make such a big change, but it is not reflected in the states like Kerala. There is a reason for that. Because you see the species basket of brackish water. You can see the fishes, and till 2015, only in this CIBAs was being bred, and we have got complete technology. But during the last 5 years, we added now Chanos, Mughal Cephalus, and very recently, Chanos, and recently we added Cephalus, and again red snapper. So other food fishes also, certain thing. See, all these fishes, when you talk about a technology, you need, which are the components? You need the seed, feed, health, and genetics, along with that societal, taking into society. So this is the species basket. You can see that all the fishes we already, the shrimp we already bred. You can see that I am, because if you go into detail, it will take a lot of time, but you can see that all the commercial shrimp, we have the technology, especially institution like CIBA, we too have, but the commercial species, the industry has taken it forward. But in the fish, you can see now, basically CIBAs and the Chanos. But the point is that when you develop a technology, there comes all the biological innovations. And because I will show a couple of slides that how this is important, because university setup, when you're talking about this aquaculture and its growth, it is very important how the connection happens, how the science, how the campus is being connected. And again, now see, for the 2024, we have got an ambitious target is giving the growth. What does that mean? In the per hectare, you need to increase the productivity. Then you need a smart feed, smart health strategies, even selective bred strains, etc. And so this, how we will reach there? When you talk about these words are fine, and it is cosmetics to talk about blue economy, maybe blue growth, but how we will achieve it? We all know now in the next domain, in the decade, any sector, any industry we want to go ahead means it is the technology. So even in the application of this, in our sector of aquaculture, is all biology and understanding it and how to apply it in the water farming. That is the most important part. And you can see that all other sectors, food, energy, industry, all driven by new technologies. Which are the components of aquaculture when we talk about? These are the, because feed me, first is seed, feed, health, then genetics, and then social science. These are the real components of aquaculture. So when you talk about a species, when you wanted to produce, when you wanted to increase, all these area we need to be self-sufficient. That is how when a species is bred, for example, you see this is a classical old, in 70s we used to do ice stock ablation for the shrimp to make induced maturation. But even now it is not been accepted as a right technology. Whether we have a smart technology to intervene in place of ice stock ablation, it is not that, though we have done a lot of molecular work. That is how we are in that puzzle box. We have a very primitive technology. Unless and until the science at the campus and the science and research and the researchers catch up with this and transform it into technology and given to this sector, we cannot achieve the growth. Here this is a CIBA. CIBA, see, the fish is actually most sought after fish in the market, to 500 rupees per kilo. But the fish up to 3 kilo, it is a male. Then you need to convert it into a protrandus fish. Then we have to make it into female, then to breed. It is a tough technology. But see what happened, that even in the institutions like CIBA, we could able to integrate all the science and make a technology. Once you make the complete technology, so the science is having a basic thing and it is have a spin-off, how to connect this value chain. That is the success, and that is the most important point in the we need to do when we talk about in the academics and research. So now CIBA farming has become very, even the you can see the cages in the sea or the backwater and the production. And but then CIBA is actually a carnivorous fish. You need a very costly feed. You see, 1 kilogram of feed is 90 rupees, and you need to use fish meal. It's not sustainable. So you can see the price there. When you import a feed, 120 rupees, and how we can. Then we need the indigenous, technology, and where we can. That is how we can really take it forward. Otherwise, it won't become profitable. So this carnivorous fishes, we have done the technology immediately. Then you need a species like herbivorous, like chanos. Till 2015, we could not able to breed chanos. No, CIBA has bred it. We have got a technology. So it is a herbivorous fish. That means in this, when a carnivorous fish with a fish meal rich feed, you need a herbivorous fish, and so that we need to have all these things. And then now you see that one of the component like Artemia, it is completely we are importing Artemia system. But we have the vast stretches of saline, salt pans, but we could not develop. What I'm trying to say, when we talk about the growth, there are certain components, even these, we have the research, we are doing it, but we could not make the technology and the fill the gap. And the feed, see 60% of the feed, but how many, actually, if you look at Kerala, we don't even have a single feed mill in Kerala producing standard feeds. That is the problem, not even having a single, commercial hatchery for the finfish. So unless we address these things, our growth will be. That is why you can see that when you feed itself, the growth and cost effectiveness, pollution, sustainability, everything comes there. And again, I have the cost factor, and that is how. So institution, at least in brackish water, we address this area, and we could able to come out with a state of the art feed, integrating the science and the technology. And now this technology has been given to the stakeholders, and so that you can imagine, for example, 75 rupees per kilo vanami feed in the market by commercial companies. We could able to make it a production cost is 55 and given to the local companies. Now it is available in the market for 65 rupees. The farmer that will get us a profit. Similarly, CIBA feed. And even ornamental feed, we don't have a consistent ornamental feed in India. We are completely depending on, only quality feeds are imported. So now this is the important thing. When we know the technological gap, we need the science. We do the apply the science and develop it and given to the sector. And we were talking about the seed, now feed, and now seed is a very, everybody knows that we are in the pandemic of COVID pandemic. It is exactly a synonym. In 90s, we have white spot and virus disease. And there was no way you can deal or treat and cure the viral disease. So what is that we can do? But our research system, we could able to address it. And then you see the spread, it is exactly like COVID, isn't it? So the virus is a smart pathogen. We need to have the readiness, expertise readiness to address these things and come out with whatever possible solution. Now we all know, everybody know RT-PCR of our COVID-19, but we did the PCR in 2003 and even come out with a kit. So this preparedness of, you see, when you talk about the health, it's a complicated box. That is what in COVID itself, your health should be there, your food is coming, the mask is coming, and social distance is coming, and finally RT-PCR is coming, and there is not a pill you can eat it and cure the disease. Same thing. So that we, when we talk about all these things, most important thing is our campuses, our research, it should be harmonized, aligned to first of all understanding the challenge and how we can address it. So it is actually, when we looked at white spot at those time in early 2000, we knew that PCR is only so we could able to develop a PCR kit. Even we have RT-PCR, we commercialized it. So that expertise kind of thing is very much useful. Even when this COVID thing comes at the national level, many of the laboratories are able to address this, COVID RT-PCR and kits. And this is the thing, we commercialized the kit in 2003 itself. Again, as you know that when there is no treatment available, we need to have a preventive strategies like prebiotics and probiotics So this open up a vast canvas of research. So in aquatic system, now you all know to tackle the virus, you cannot exchange water. Once you stock the shrimp inside the pond, they don't change the water at all. Then you need smart technologies like probiotics, bacteria basing. So CIBA also has been working it and then finally developed, and even very cutting edge things like phage based technologies, and then genomics and bioinformatics. Now, understanding about the full genome, that is very, very important now. So, but again, how many of the, how much expertise we have? And we are imported Vanami, that is an American shrimp, and 99 production for single species aquaculture. Is it sustainable? Actually, our indicus is compatible. We need our country in a national level itself. We need to have a selective breeding program for the our smart species like indicus. And in that sound, we even CIBA now, we very recently we complete the full genome of the shrimp, white shrimp. It is after Vanami and Monodon. So this knowledge, then when genomics knowledge alone is not sufficient, we need bioinformatics. So institution like we can combine these two things and and develop new strategies to even bacteria. Once you have the capacity, it is very easy. Why I'm putting this ornamental thing is you are nowadays listening so much about ornamental by PMMS, by Pradhan Mantri Yojana scheme, but how many species in India we have a hatchery technology, then a feed technology, then an aquarium technology? We have very few. Oh, that is the problem. When you talk about it, we need have to all these components. And our institute looked at it. You can see the angelfish and scatophagus and our Atroplus. All the fishes are being exported as an ornamental fish in Sri Lanka. So it's a double benefit. You can use it as a ornamental as well as food fish. So these fishes, what I am showing here, we have a hatchery technology. We have got smart feed. I told you even the ornamental, color fish feed we developed and branded and commercialized it. So this is actually when you talk about the spin-off and the startups, anybody even they can take up these things and try to scale it up. That is how we can connect it with our blue economy and growth. So then this is our another most important part is the how we can make it sustainable. We all know this ecosystem approach because it is embedded in the ecosystem, even in a very modern commercial shrimp farm, or even because you get water, you put feed, and then there is an output that is going outside, whether it can sustain. But mostly in the intensive aquaculture, because it is money intensive, people are at large look at overlook the sustainable factor. But that will be really a problem. That is what happened for countries like Taiwan. They were the leaders, in shrimp. They even produce 20 ton per hectare, but it is not sustainable. Now there is no Taiwan is nowhere in the export of shrimp. You can see the market, but other countries are developed. Then when you talk about ecosystem, this is the carrying capacity is very important because it depends on the each location, geographic location, the water source, the estuaries, the sea. Depend on that each water source has got a characteristics. We need to know in that water, Vembanad backwaters, even in the Alapi waters, maybe in the North Kerala, what is the characteristics of that water? Accordingly, we should decide what is the carrying capacity in physical carrying capacity or ecological carrying capacity, social carrying capacity, production carrying capacity. You may think, what is this social? Because, you see the small farmer, he may be having only a 1/10 cents of the his capacity to use, feed or maybe water exchange will be different. So these carrying capacity, you should again tailor-made to that particular, location or the people who are farming. Again, the production carrying capacity, because in one farmer he may be taking 20 ton per hectare. You can be, I can take it. No, we should know how much is my water. So now once you have the technology and ecosystem, these is small cages you can put. When you put the cage, how much biomass it can be produced, what is the carrying capacity, what is the how much fishes can be grown, all those things has to be connected. And this fed and non-fed aquaculture, you know that fed aquaculture, we use it. Typical example is shrimp or sea bass culture. But we have got beautiful non-fed aquaculture like green mussel farming, or even our Mughal cephалus and chanos. They need only a little bit supplement feed. So when we strategically plan this aquaculture development, especially in a state like Kerala, we had to take into all these technologies. But at large, what you have seen, even my experience, even the state like Kerala, the departments, like state fisheries department, they may not be having the technological skill to drive these things. So they should take the expertise from other things and package it and take it. But if you don't include this, it is like a vehicle with the wheels. If the wheels are not good, how the vehicle will move ahead? So this is the most important thing. And a state like Kerala is so much of resources, and we can have a aquaculture with a economically viable, environmentally sustainable, socially acceptable. So when you do that, you can see that the whole system we can use it. We can have the species. If you take the species basket, there are species feeding on the bottom, in the middle, in the surface, even the shellfishes. So once you take all this scientific knowledge and we make a package, make a roadmap for the state or any locality, that is the way we can reach a sustainable mode of development. And you see that recently we are talking about integrated multi-trophic aquaculture. We need all these. When you talk about nutrition, it's a photograph. We have got a center in West Bengal. See, this is a beautiful setup. This farm, they grow the fishes, and the bund, they grow vegetables. So if you take a small family with a point, not 1 hectare also, could able to, and the cost is not very high. But when you take the nutritional security provided by them, the profitability, you should be able to double it. It is not just in rupee terms. And you nowadays hear so much of about recirculation aquaculture systems also. But again, the problem is that many people venture into it by without knowing the components. These are all highly technological driven, and each thing, the knowledge, the person who is operating, the people, the entrepreneur should know what is the system. Otherwise, you simply import a set up a system without understanding, and it may not be again working. This is an important thing, because so many people have imported Israeli RA system, maybe from Europe. It may work for 1 year, then it will collapse. So what for example, state of Kerala, we need to develop our own RA system. I am very happy that one entrepreneur from Cochin, he was very, very passionate. He was working with us, and now recently I visited. He's trying to develop a indigenous, locally suitable RA system. But there he cannot alone do it. There is a fish. The fish in RA need a special feed. That CIBA is trying to do that. He need the right seed, healthy seed. So, we can keep on talk so much about it, but the point about in universities or research institutions, when we talk about aquaculture, because aquaculture domain is in the farmers, is in the field, but the laboratory, we need to connect. That is the biological science. I think, so in that context, the present, seminar is becoming very relevant, and ecosystem approach and the sustainability goal, we can able to always, you can balance these things. I mentioned about all these technological components of aquaculture, whether it is, but it is equally applicable for the freshwater or other things. And then once you do this in a ecologically acceptable way, the ecological well-being, when matched with the human well-being, then definitely we will. But the good governance, I mean, finally, in a democratic setup, like our country, it is all run by the, politically elected government and the bureaucrats and we scientific domain, maybe academics. All these people should come together and work. Otherwise, all these what we are talking about will be just be in laboratories. It may not be reaching the real. This is the participate. You see, finally, this is the people participatory and the partnership mode. Because you can see that most of the things we have experience in working with state government. If I give a technology to state government, then in the state government, first 1 year it will work. Then we all know that the lethargy will set up as a government setup, and then often the technology will not, that particular thing will not work. It is not due to the fault of the technology. It is the total governance system. So what we have seen, the best successful model, I think Salim also may share in what he's talking about Thailand. what we have seen is that we are the scientific domain. We develop, we do research, we do technology backstopping and make the technology. And once it is done and tested with these people who are needed, then together with the government, the fisheries is a state subject. So the state or the government and the people or even the stakeholder and our campus, maybe university or research institution, this is the way we can achieve the, what we are thinking about the economic growth or blue growth or, uh, uh, and the whatever target we are thinking about aquaculture production. But this slide is again why I put it. It is about producing the meat in the petri dish. See, we cannot tell. See, now there is a very big movement against by using the aquaculture. Even now, very recently, whether shrimp farming can be done. There are a lot of lobbying and NGOs working against it. Then because the point is the water belongs to everybody. The water I am pumping into my pond, my shrimp pond, it belongs to everybody. So unless I release it into the ecosystem back in a right way without pollution, then everybody will affect. So the point may come, some point will tell that, okay, you cannot simply do farming in the natural ecosystem. So we have to be preparatory. That is what I know already Singapore one companies that we can produce, the stem cell research and all that, maybe there can be a factory, in future, that will be the way that also we should plan for it in our campus. Stem cell and laboratory meat. So a CIBA factory will be there, and you need not farm tuna. You can produce mackerel or tuna in the laboratory. So the science is the way. Now COVID has told it. It is only people, the whole world is looking for this science to whether vaccine, whether developments. So this COVID has created a big challenge for which has showed us what that science back in. It isn't the focus. Science is the way. Science is the technology, and technologies are to be there to solve our problems. I think, but the most important thing in a country like India, we have everything. We have got all capable people, all laboratories, all government, money, but I seldom seen people working together. People are mostly in the laboratories or in the institutions, in the campus. Actually, that holistic way, people should come together. If you don't come together and work, these things, it is like an orchestra, and aquaculture is actually a holistic thing. All things should come together, the nature, the water, the people, the technology, and the fish and shrimp. So this, and I think in any setup, I think this is the last slide. So I flag this point because people like Biju and his department is doing good job, and we are all coming together. But always we should see the vehicle, whether this technology vehicle or our effort has got proper wheel, whether it can travel to reach the destination. And we need an economically rewarding, environmentally friendly, socially inclusive, sustainable aquaculture using novel and modern biologicals. This is my, I think this is okay for make the setting of this Brackishwater Aquaculture and the sustainable growth for blue economy. This is my campus in Muthukadu. Thank you.